Halloween is a 2018 horror movie that's directed by David Gordon Green, and it stars Jamie Lee Curtis, Andy Matuszak, Will Patton, Judy Greer and James Jude Courtney as Michael Myers. So Halloween 2018 has finally arrived. I got to see the midnight showing. It seems like it's been months and months and waiting for this movie to come out, because I have been covering it on my YouTube channel for all this time now. And does it live up to the hype? So this is going to be a spoiler-free review, so you can watch this if you haven't seen it. Don't worry about it. I'm not going to spoil it at all. In the future, the very near future, I'm going to do a spoiler-filled review, so I'll get into the nitty-gritty of all the kills and the storyline, what happens in the story as well. So that's going to be in a later video, but for now, this is a spoiler-free review. Before I get into the review, guys, one of my subscribers sent me a package. He never told me what it was, but looking at this, it's obviously a poster. I opened it before I started this review. I'll just show you guys what he sent me. It's Luke Morris, one of my subscribers. He's actually got a YouTube channel as well. Watch It Reviews, check him out. He's from the UK and he sent me a little letter as well. He says, "Hey Barry, hope you like the poster, mate. Consider it a housewarming gift. Keep up the great work. I'm moving house," so that's why. So he sent me this. This is definitely going to go up in my new studio. I have had a look at it and it's fantastic. So look at what he got me, guys. And the reason I'm showing it in this review, you'll find out why in a second. It's the San Diego Comic-Con Halloween poster. And that's what he sent me. So again, I've already thanked him for this, but thank you very much, Luke. It's definitely going to go up on my studio. And there we go. Anyway guys, let's get back into the review. So as most of you know, this movie is set 40 years after the original. It retcons everything that happens from part 2 and above, and it only basically focuses on the original storyline. So 40 years after Michael Myers killed 3 to 5 people, he escapes and he's back again and he's wreaking havoc on the streets of Haddonfield. So before I tell you what I think of the movie, I'll break it down into sections like I did with the previous Halloween movies, and that is the score. I'll talk about the score, I'll talk about Michael Myers himself, I'll talk about the mask, I'll talk about the cinematography and the acting in it, and what I'll do is I'll break it down into pros and cons. And I'll start with the cons, because to be honest, there weren't that many cons. There were a few in it. There's some that I can't talk about just now because they will be in the spoiler review. There's some spoilers that I'll maybe talk about, and there's some negatives that I'll talk about in the spoiler one. But one of the negatives for me was certain characters just didn't really fit into this film. One character in particular I can't mention yet. This person was in this movie to serve no purpose, and when their ultimate goal was revealed in this film, again, it served no purpose at all for the film. It actually took me out of the film for a couple of minutes trying to process what I just saw. When I saw it, for those of you guys who have seen it, you understand, but when I saw what this person did, I was like, why? Why would you do that? It just kind of muddles up the storyline. The storyline of Michael and Laurie should continue the way it was all the way through the film, and that's just made it take a back seat for a couple of minutes. And then after that happened, it went back to the Laurie and Michael storyline, and you're kind of thinking, why did that even take place? Another negative for me, I thought was going to be a positive in this film, and it was there was too many nods to not just some of the Halloween movies, but to the original Halloween. It's trying to obviously play homage to the original film, and it's good to see it in little subtle ways, but there was 2 in particular scenes that it was a little bit over the top for me. It wasn't bad, it didn't ruin the movie at all, but I'm having to pick out some negatives, and this is one of the negatives. I did see a few nods to the original. I thought, that's pretty good. And then near the end of the movie, not the very end, but near the end, there was 2 scenes that, again, was paying homage to the original, which is great, it's paying homage, but they didn't really fit into the story, and they looked as if they were too forced. Again, I'll get into those in my spoiler review, but the nods to the original were good overall, but there was too many in my opinion. Now the score, I'll talk about the score because it has a pro and a con to it. I think the pro is obviously John Carpenter's back, he's brought his son over as well, and they've mixed it up a bit, and I did really like the score. I didn't listen to the score before I went to see it in the cinema. People were sending me links to the score telling me to listen to it, and I thought, no, I'm not going to listen to it, I'll wait until I see it on the big screen. And I really liked the score. It was a pro. What it was missing though, for me personally, was more originality to the original score, if that makes sense. Like, I wanted to hear the 1978 theme, I wanted to hear the 1978 soundtrack throughout as well, and we didn't hear that. So I missed that, but I also liked the new score. So that's a bit of a pro and a con. Now the first positive for me is Michael Myers. James Jude Courtney is a great Michael Myers. Now, he's a tall man, but you don't really see that on screen unless he's standing next to a smaller person. His height isn't prominent in this film, which is good because his height wasn't prominent in the original Halloween either. Watching this film, I don't know what scene Nick Castle was in. It's probably being confirmed elsewhere. Maybe if you know, leave a comments down below, let me know which scene or scenes Nick Castle was in. But I didn't really see Nick Castle at all, so again, let me know if you've seen him. But yeah, I really thought James Jude Courtney did a great job. His movements, his walking was great. There was one scene in particular, we did see a snippet of it in the trailer, but you got the full feeling of one particular scene in the trailer that gets extended in the movie. When he does what he does in this scene, you get chills, and I'm like, wow, that was literally the original Michael Myers. Maybe it was Nick Castle, but if it was James Jude Courtney, what he done in one of these scenes was great. Now we move on to the mask. Now the mask is aged. I know a lot of people say that masks with that material wouldn't last 40 years, but we're in the movie world, let's say it does last 40 years, and I think it was a really good mask. I had done a ranking video for the masks before I rewatched all the movies, and I will be doing a re-ranking of the masks again, simply because there's more masks involved now, and I'm going to rank every single mask that was ever available. I never done that in the top 10 that I've done, so I'll do that again. But the mask itself, it was really good. It didn't remind me of Rob Zombie's Halloween. Some people said that it looks like Rob Zombie's Halloween mask for similar reasons, that it's been aged, etc. But when you watch it in this film, it's got that kind of Dick Warlock style look to it as well, because his mask is slightly stretched, like Dick Warlock's mask was, because it was stretched over his face. So it looked a little bit more like a Halloween 2 style. I know Halloween 1 and Halloween 2 were the same mask, but it reminded me of Halloween 2 more than Halloween 1. And again, it's not a bad thing because both of them are the same mask. Now the cinematography was interesting. It wasn't amazing cinematography. It wasn't like John Carpenter's cinematography. It was different. There was a lot of up close shots similar to Rob Zombie, but there was wide angle shots. There was good mood, great atmosphere in some scenes. There was one scene, it's not a spoiler, but there was one scene where there was lights in the backyard, the motion sensor lights in the backyard, and Michael Myers is standing in the distance, and as soon as those lights go off, you know that something bad is going to happen. So in this scene, the lights go off, come on, go off and come on, something happens, somebody gets hurt. Again, I won't mention that in this video, but that was really good. That was a good way of using the light and the darkness in the one scene. Now throughout this film, I didn't really care much for all the characters. Some of the characters were there only to be killed, but some of the characters you kind of cared for, and you're like, I really don't want this person to die, and they ended up dying. But that aside, the three standouts for me were the obvious ones: Judy Greer, Andy Matichuk, and Jamie Lee Curtis. I think especially near the beginning of the film, when we're introduced to Jamie Lee Curtis, we're introduced to Laurie Strode 40 years later, and within the first 2 minutes we can understand already what she's been going through for 40 years. She's hurt. There is one scene that really got to me, I don't know why, but she went to the restaurant to see her family, and she lasted literally 1 minute, and she had to leave, and you could just tell she was a broken down woman. Actually, I really felt for Laurie Strode, and I think Jamie Lee Curtis did a fantastic job. I don't think that this Jamie Lee Curtis felt like the Laurie Strode from Halloween H2O. People were saying they were going to be scared in case she felt like the H2O one. She did at times, but she was a completely different character. She felt like she wasn't even the same character she was in the original Halloween, and that was intentional because it's been 40 years, but she didn't feel like the H2O Laurie Strode. Another standout scene for me involved Judy Greer, when she was basically saying to her mum throughout the whole movie, "You're crazy, I don't want you to speak to my daughter because you're going to make her like I was when I was a kid." all the way through the film, she was basically pointing fingers at her mum saying, you need to get out of our lives because you're crazy. And then there was a scene where she just clicked and she's like, oh my god, my mum has been right all this time. And her facial expressions and the way she spoke to her mum after that was great. So again, props to Judy Greer. And like I said, Andi Matichak was also great. I think that she's probably been, if you can call her the final girl, I would say that she was probably the best one since the original Laurie Strode. Let's move on to the kills. Now the kills, we've got the best of both. I imagined it would be the way it was, and I was right about that. That's something I was right about, and that is the brutality of the kills were really brutal. They reminded me of Rob Zombie's Halloween, but again, if I could say they were tasteful or less tasteless than Rob Zombie's kills, they were brutal. You could see the aftermath of a lot of the kills. One thing they done well, and I hope that they done this, was some of the kills, I won't mention which ones, were done off screen, and then we saw the aftermath of that, and I expected that to happen for a few of the scenes, and it did, and I like that. That's because they're holding back, yet they're not holding back. So they're giving people who don't want to see the blood, guts and gore like we didn't see in Halloween, they pleased those fans, and they also pleased the fans that wanted to see a little bit of limbs hanging off, etc. So I would say they've done a good job with the kills. Now I really wish I could talk about the ending of this film, because the ending is very important, but I wouldn't mention it because this is a spoiler-free review. If you want to check out my spoiler-filled review, which I'll be doing probably next week or so, I want to give it a few days to soak in. I'll maybe go and see it again a couple of times as well, just to see if there's anything that I missed. Check that spoiler review out, but in the meantime I can't talk about the ending. Overall, yes, I think it was a triumphant return for Michael Myers. The budget that they had for this film, $10 million, it felt like a grand film. It felt like a big massive film that we're watching on the big screen, and it was definitely worth the wait. Anyway guys, have you seen Halloween yet? If you have, leave a comments down below, let me know what you thought of it. Please don't put any spoilers down below. I will have to delete them because there will be people who haven't seen it, especially ones who want to come and watch this spoiler free review. For those of you who are watching the spoiler free review, maybe don't read the comments down below until you have seen it, and then we can maybe get a discussion going. Anyway guys, thanks a lot for watching again, thanks for subscribing, I'll see you soon, bye bye.